Hello, Charles Smith. Welcome. Ngoya Sharis, good evening. Bidemi, welcome. Justin Mayo. Anne-Marie, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As you are coming in, I also want to encourage you to go ahead and share the link to this program. So please look for the share button and let's go share the link and invite everybody, especially the ladies, to come and join us and hear something about social maturity. Lanon Adebayo, welcome. Purity Life, Pastor Sufficient, welcome. Flair Karim Matip, welcome. Let's go share the link. Let's share this link. Yep, go and press the share button. Please go share the link and write your comments. Write some comments and some remarks on the link that you share, so that people will know that it's worth it to watch or it's not. Nice to see all of you. Welcome. Welcome to an evening of Sandra Fisher. Welcome. Gladys Nwosu. Yeah, welcome to an evening where we'll be talking about spiritual and social maturity, mainly social maturity. Spiritual maturity will be just an aspect of the social maturity that we're going to be talking about. So, social maturity is the topic of today. So what do I mean by social maturity? When we talk about social maturity, what I'm referring to is the fact that every lady, before she considers marriage, must first of all think about how socially matured she is. Every lady must be socially matured before going into any serious relationship. If a lady is not matured socially, she will be faced with a lot of hurdles in her marriage life. She will face a lot of challenges. If a lady is not matured socially, she is going to be she's going to face a lot of embarrassing situations in a married life, because first of all, to be married means to be able to live with another human being, and that means to form a family. And when you create a family, you not live on an island. It's not just a family. It's not just a life of two lovers. Your life will involve your families, your relatives, but also your life will also involve the family members and relatives of your partner or your husband. So if you are not socially developed, you might not know how to behave yourself when you meet with the families of your husband or husband-to-be. And if you are not socially matured, and you don't know how to relate properly and maturely to the family members of your spouse, your husband, or even your wife, that could mean a lot of rejection if you are not careful. That could mean rejection. That could mean unacceptance. That could mean that the family members of your husband will be thinking that you are not social, or you are not matured, or you are not welcoming, or you are not loving, and that might make the family to reject you. And if the family of your husband rejects you, that's not so good. You are going to start on a high note, on a hard note. It is a very difficult call to be living with a husband that you know the family members don't accept you and they reject you. So, and one of the things that will make you to a large extent, if the family of your husband or husband to be receive you and accept you very well and relate to you and adopt you as their own daughter and one of them, that's almost 50% of the success of your marriage, of your future marriage. And so what do you need? What does a lady need to be accepted, for her to be accepted by the other family? She needs to be socially exposed. You need to be exposed socially. You need to be able to learn the manners of respect, respecting the members of the other family. You need to be able to know how to honor and serve other people in that other family. You need to know how to build relationships so that you don't take their son from them, so to say, and you don't create enmity between your husband and his siblings. That takes a lot of social maturity for you not to become the enemies of his brothers or sisters or his siblings and yourself, or your husband and his siblings. You don't want to create enmity. You want to create friendship between you and his family members, between you and your husband or husband to be his family members. And you can actually, if you are socially matured, if you are well brought up in people relations and social development, if you are well matured socially, you might even bring them closer. You might even bring the family closer, because you have come to that family and you are socially matured. You are able to build your own relationship, build trust between the family members of the man and yourself. You might actually be able to bring them closer as a family. On the other hand, I know there are some cases also whereby a lady that is very, very well matured socially and she's able to build such a relationship with the parents and the family of the husband, that the family actually begin to adopt her and love her so much that you would think she's the daughter of the family. And sometimes they even love her more than they love their son. And that is all depending on the social skills of the lady. So the ability for you to be able to build relationship with people, relationship of trust, the ability for you to be able to accept people, and be able to treat them with honor, with respect, and give them the honor that belongs to them, be able to welcome them, be able to make your husband not to be distant from his family or his siblings just because he married you. The ability to manage that is a lot of maturity it takes, because frankly speaking, for most women, it is natural for the woman that a woman would like to monopolize the husband, and a woman would like to monopolize the husband and say, I'm not marrying your family, I'm only marrying you. And as a result, she wants to stop him even from relating with his own family members, or try to stop him from relating with his siblings. And that could bring a lot of tension. I understand where the woman is coming from, because the woman needs attention, and the woman begins to think that the family or the parents of the husband might become a competition kind of fight between her and the family. So, but don't, a matured lady would not see herself in competition with the parents of the husband. A matured lady would not see herself in competition with the siblings as well of the husband. A matured wife will actually rather help the husband to build a relationship of mutual respect, to build a relationship of mutual honor, such that the husband is now more organized in his relationship with his siblings. For example, a wise woman, a socially matured woman will help the husband to structuralize and put his relationship with his siblings in perspective, in structural perspective. So put it in order. Like, let's say we are relating with our families like this. We're having a budget, or we're going to be visiting our families once a year or twice a year, or this holiday. Put it in a plan. Sit down together with your husband, make a plan of how much time you are going to be spending with your family and how much time we are going to be spending with her family. And then also put it in perspective, how much money or gifts we want to be spending or giving out to the siblings, sisters, brothers here, and to the relatives on the wife's side as well. So, sit down together with each other, plan your budget, and say, okay, 5% of our budget, or maybe 10% of our budget, we are going to be spending on our families. So 5% goes to your family, 5% goes to your family. So help your husband structuralize, help your husband plan and put his relationship with his father or with his parents in a structure, in a kind of system that will make him to do his obligation, carry out his obligation as a son, as almost in an automatic manner, that it comes out, it works out automatically and smoothly. And the same kind of smooth relationship and a planned, structured, smooth relationship could be planned out for the interaction between the husband and his brothers and sisters, his siblings also. So a wise wife who is socially matured, I would also tell you other aspects of social maturity that the lady would need to have. But, it starts with social maturity, gives a lot of advantages to the woman when she's matured, so that she will be able to, social maturity will first of all help you to be able to maintain a sound and healthy relationship between you, your husband, and his family, and your own family members as well. Another area where social maturity will help a young lady, especially if she's planning to marry, is in the area of his friends. Because as a young lady, you are dating a man, or you are going to marry a man, and that man, lived before you somewhere on the planet Earth. He used to have some friends. He used to have some of his colleagues, some of his friends. He related to some people before he met you. So he cannot just stop all his relationships now because he has met you. It would be wrong for him to throw away just across the window or out of the window all the relationships that he had, all his friendships, and say, oh, now I got my fiance and my life ends. So it will take a lot of wisdom, and that is where we need the social maturity from the lady to be able to accommodate not just your future husband or your husband, but to be able to accommodate his friends. Not like it's the way I did it, bring my friends to live in my house. No, not that one. But in the sense that bringing social maturity that your friend, your husband doesn't feel any pressure from you to cut the relationship he had built before he met you. And he doesn't feel any pressure that he has to stop his friendships and he has to drop his friends just because he married or is marrying. And that depends on the wisdom of the woman. So if you come with, if a lady that is socially matured comes into a marriage or into a relationship with a boy, of course, the lady is always concerned that his husband or future husband is spending time with his friends, either on telephone or visiting, and she wants to. In Russian language, there is a good word, atshit, to say. You know, it's a good word in Russian language. It's like you're going to, you want to cut off the friends from him, and you style women's wisdom to cut them off and keep your own husband or your fiancé just to yourself. Well, that kind of wisdom, that kind of cutting off is going to backfire one day. It's going to backfire. But a socially matured woman will rather, become a bridge between those relationships that he was having before and the husband. And you will not cut off the friends of your husband. You will not put pressure on your husband to drive away all his friends, but you will rather try to get to know them and try to create an atmosphere of welcoming for them in your home and or in your lives, and just let them know that you trust them and that you are welcoming to them and you are accommodating to them, and those kind of social awareness and maturity, they are very helpful. I remember, I learned a lot from Americans, from the Americans when, before I was married, I used to work with an American company and, boss. And what I noticed is that each time this man, the director of that company, was coming here, or maybe I also had a lot of missionary friends. They were always bringing gifts. They come and bring gifts to all my, my friends. They bring gifts to me. They bring gifts to. They always. Later on, when we were married with my wife, I noticed that my wife picked that up. Because when I was married also, they were always coming with gifts. So now, when we're traveling somewhere, maybe these are just inexpensive, these are not expensive things. Tie, perfume, shirts, and coffins, things that are not really expensive. But, when you go there and meet your friends and your wife. I didn't even know this. I didn't even tell my wife to be doing this. But, and we arrived somewhere and my wife is having a gift for this one, having a gift for that one. It makes me feel really, really great, because it means that my wife is not just welcoming to my friends, but she's honoring them and making them to really feel that they are important in our lives. And, they were all receptive to her and able to honor her and respect her as well. So that is a sign of a lot of social maturity. Social maturity, when you are able to honor people in relationship, when you are able to relate with people with honor, with acceptance, with recognition, even though there is no abuse in that. You don't bring all these people to your home to go and live in your house, or to go and be disturbing your own peace or standing in the gap of between your own family, but just recognizing every family member, having a small gift for them, some insignificant gift, but just recognizing them, giving this every day. When you travel home, recognize every family member, some gift there, some gift there. Those things are, they are a sign of social maturity. There is a sign of from the side of a woman I mean, it brings a lot of, especially, my wife, for example, she is always bringing all kind of gifts for the children. This one's children, this one's children. I don't even remember all those children in my own family or in my relatives' family. But my wife, building a bridge and, being socially matured, she's, related with a lot of not just Americans, Europeans here, and see the way a lot of things that they do and the way they do it, and she's using all that, and that has really helped to keep all my friends, all my relationships, and stops all kind of fight or hatred. So there is no question about her being accepted or not being accepted. So these are all signs of social maturity. Now, what brings you to that place? How do you get to a place whereby you are able to develop yourself to relate like this to people around you, and to make your wife, to make your husband accepted, and make your husband look actually more important than he is, because of a wise husband, because of a wise wife or fiance who is able to relate with people, put things in order and things like that. And now I know there are some, in Africa, for example, where we come from, there are some expectations from wives or fiancés of the son of the house, or from relatives of the parents, that are not healthy. But you could actually replace those unhealthy expectations with healthy ones. So, for example, my wife in Africa, if you are a wife or in a relative, you married to a family, for example, in my own family, if I had been in Africa, if I had been living in Nigeria, the culture would have demanded that my wife, when we go to Nigeria, that she goes to the kitchen to cook and, join all the women in the family and be cooking and all that. Even though my wife would like to do that sometimes, being just, for something different. She's not against doing that. But she doesn't have to do that because we stay in the hotel or we stay somewhere in town. But she will honor them so much by bringing them gifts and all that. So even if she will not appear in those local village and kitchen and, doing all the local things that the villagers do, even though she will not do that, but because she had honored them, because she had given them some gifts, some recognitions, and some, some gifts here and there, and, created them well. So, that kind of shielded her from all the other, local expectations that are not very healthy, things that they would have expected from her to do. As a matter of fact, my wife didn't go to my village for the first 10, she never went to my village or my family for the first 10 years of our marriage. But even though she never went there, she was not going there for 10 years, but she was sending things to them, recognizing them, sending gifts to them. So even though she was not coming to, normally in our culture, Yoruba culture, I'm a Yoruba guy. So even though in our culture, that is like an abomination that your wife is not coming to see us or to recognize us or things like that. But because she had recognized them in absentia, she had recognized them. Even when we're in Nigeria, she goes to her own family or she goes to the hotel, or we go to minister together, but she's not going to my village. And nobody is attacking her for it. And the reason why they are not attacking her for it is because she's been able to build another kind of relationship whereby she had honored those people, and she's even honored them from the distance, even though they have never met, but she knows about them and she's giving them things, she's sending them stuff, she's recognizing them, and all that put together now had protected her image, and giving me a good name with the family members. So these are kind of some wisdom that will be needed for a young girl or a woman that is anticipating marriage. It's called social maturity. So you don't need to compromise and, be doing all the local stuff that they want you to do. You don't need to go down to their own level. But on your own level, you can put your own standard there. You can set your own standard of of social interaction, bring them higher, do some things for them that will, make them to be satisfied, and for them not to point accusing fingers at you anymore, and for them to be still able to accept you and receive you and respect you, and still love you, even though you are not doing all the local stuff that they would have expected you to do. So my wife, maybe she has been to my village maybe once or twice only, and we've been married for 22 years now. And in all the 22 years, she's only been there twice. And they still love her because she's recognizing them, she's sending them stuff, she's, so that is an aspect of social maturity that will help a lady. So what I started by sharing with you is how social maturity will come handy for you. It will come handy for you in relations to the family that you are going into. It will come handy for you in relations to the friends and the colleagues of your husband, the family you are marrying into. But how do you get there? Where do you get that social maturity from? Now, let's go to the practical aspect of social maturity. Now, social maturity, of course, starts with your educational system and your education. So your social maturity starts with you interacting, going to school, not just going to primary school or secondary school or high school, but when you go to college or you go to university, one of the greatest things that you are going to get from university education is exposure. So one of the things, because education is not just what you get in classrooms. Education is not only what you get in reading books. Sometimes education is what you get in exposure. So exposure is also a form of education. And one of the great things that tertiary education gives you or higher education gives you is that exposure. The exposure in the sense that you come out of your father's house and you are not just in a uniform kind of environment like in primary school or secondary school where you don't know what you are doing, you just go to class and sit down. But here is where you are, you are on your own. You are on your own. And you'll be meeting with a lot of young people, a lot of people like you in a university environment or college environment. You are forced to socialize. You don't have to you are not being monitored by anybody. You are not being told what to do. You have to come to a place whereby you find things out by yourself. So social life and social maturity is the ability to be able to find your own way in real life situation. The ability for you to be able to, build relationship, be able to find your own way, talk to people, seek advice, and listen to other people, talk to them, build bridges between people. So that's social. All of us, our social maturity starts with our college years or our university education. So some people might say, what is the good in you going to university or going to college? It's not good. It doesn't give you anything. No, it gives you many things. One of the things that university education does for you is that it exposes you to another social life, to a new level of social maturity. It brings you out of your shell. It brings you out of your own protective environment, so that you are going to relate in a world, in an open world, in a big wide world where you have to find your own way and relate to people and still make a living and still be able to live in a peaceful atmosphere with people. So education, your educational system, that gives you some exposure. But especially for people who are privileged to go and study in another city or go and study in another country. So if you will see that some people actually say that education is one of the greatest form of, traveling is one of the greatest form of education. Traveling. So for you to have traveled out of your own culture, for you to have traveled out of your own city or out of your own country and go and study and work or live alone in another country, in another city, in another environment, it's a form of education as well. And sometimes, those are some of the greatest things you could do to yourself. The ability to leave your shell, to leave your environment, to leave your protective surrounding, to leave your father's house, to be able to go to other cities, other towns, other countries, and live alone and live with people from other cultures and interact with people from other countries, other culture, other part of the country. So that is part of social development. So those things give you social maturity. They expose you to a greater life and a greater part of degree of life than you are used to before. So education is one of the especially tertiary education, higher education, is one of the greatest form of social exposure. And then another thing that education will do for you, apart from exposing you to another level of social life, it gives you that independence. So another and that independence, the freedom to be able to act freely and not be controlled and not be afraid, not be ashamed, not be, the freedom to act, the freedom to live your own life, the freedom to be able to walk around and go do things, that freedom to do things for yourself, that your mother is not holding you by the hand and pulling you, and your father is not holding you, your uncle is not holding you. Just the liberty to be able to live for yourself is part of social maturity as well, because some people can still not live by themselves. Some people cannot live on their own. Some people still need somebody to be taking them by the hand and telling them what to do and how to do it. But a socially matured person is on his own, is able to be independent, to live an independent life. And that is one of the things that higher education does for you. Higher education brings you to a place of maturity when you are able to live alone. Just by living alone itself, it helps you with it. It's a form of social maturity, and that's what happens with university. That's why in most cases university education allows you to live alone, so that you will gain that independence, so that you will gain that maturity. You'll be able to relate with people like you, people from different backgrounds, people from different culture. You'll be able to relate with them. You'll be able to travel. You have freedom, you have education, you have traveling, and those things, they develop you in terms of social development and social maturity. So what I'm saying is that education plays a big role in social maturity, not because you are reading social science in book or you are reading a profession that is connected with social maturity. No, just the very atmosphere of going to school, not in primary or secondary school, but higher education, relating with people, the atmosphere in university or campus atmosphere, or even if not in campus, living alone in a city or differently, living by yourself, they give you a lot of exposure. It's just like my brother now, my son. My son is 18. He's going to be 19 next month. So he's been living with us here in Ukraine all his life. No, of course, he went to Nigeria. We sent him to Nigeria to taste what Africa means and to learn some things in maturity. So, but now it's a time for him to grow and because when he was in Nigeria, he was still in secondary school, so he was living in dormitory. But here, he's now in England, going to university by himself. So when you are in university by yourself, you've got to grow socially. And here in Ukraine, it was protected. He had a driver. We had, we had a cook. We had, everything has been security. Everything it was protected in his own ward here. But there, he has his own room, so he's got to fix it. He has his school. He has his dormitory. He wants to go and rent an apartment now. So he just has to have to live by himself right now. So it's part of the social maturity that any human being needs to get to. And so before, he never knew what to cook, how to cook. He saw us cook. He saw maybe the mother cooking or me or other people in the house cooking. But now, by force, either he likes it or not, he has to cook. He has to find what to eat. He has to go and shop for his own clothing by himself. He's got to survive. So that is one of the advantages of university education or of higher education. It pushes you out of your shell. It's like what the mother eagle does for the eaglets. So the mother eagle throws them away, throws them down from the height so that they will learn to soar by themselves. And so that maturity, social maturity, a part of it comes from education. Now, another aspect of social maturity, also a greater, it starts from education or from higher education, but it goes beyond that. Like I said, traveling gives you a lot in forms of social maturity. And what gives you a lot as well is the ability to go get a job and work, not just in your father's business or on your parents or in your church or in a secure environment. Before a girl will go and get married to build our own family, I personally would advise every girl to have a work experience. Maybe a work experience, not just somewhere where you are going to get salary, but anywhere you are, you could get some experience. Let a girl or any boy, a man or a boy or anybody, go and work somewhere. Let them learn obedience, let them learn submission, let them learn to carry out assignments, let them learn to live alone during that time when they are working, so that they will be able to learn to build their own house. Let them learn to know what is furniture. Let them know how you put furniture in place, how you buy a fridge, let them buy their first fridge, let them buy their bed, let them buy their furniture, let them buy their their washing machine or their plate washer or whatever. Let them learn to put those things in order. Let them live by themselves on their own, and let them see how that works out. Because a woman that is going to marry, or that is going to marry, she's going to be married and she has to be able to take care of her home. She has to be able to build a home. So how will you be able to build a home if you have never seen how that is done? You've never experienced it. Even if you are living under your parents' canopy or auspices, it's still good to maybe have your own house or your own room or your own apartment or your own place, and where you are the owner, where you work and provide for yourself. So part of social maturity comes by you having a work experience. So part of social maturity comes by you making money for yourself and learning to spend that money judiciously, learning what to do with money, and learning to invest, or learning to plan, to do budget, to invest, learning to dress as a lady, learning to wash herself, to look after herself, to take care of her hair, take care of her dress, make herself presentable, learning to really be socially socially sophisticated. And let her learn what it means to go to the stores. Let her learn what it means to go to the supermarket and do some shopping. Let her learn how to cook by herself. Let her learn how to buy plates, utensils, table utensils, plates, family. Let her be able to receive her own visitors. Let her take care of her own visitors, friends. Let her be able to organize her own events. Let her be able to help her friends out, with their own children, or a relative out with the children or something like that. Give her the experience, the ability to be able to go and try herself out in real life situation. So these things are important for a lady to become prepared for marriage, So one of the important things that every lady should do before she marries that will really help her to be socially matured is to try to live alone. So education, traveling, living alone. And next point, let her try to live for herself and by herself. That means leave a lady alone. Let her be able to provide for herself. as well. So give her the opportunity to make her own money and give her the opportunity to live by herself, alone. Let her plan a budget. Let her plan her money. Let her plan what she's going to do. Let her learn what it means to save. Let her learn savings. Let her learn to support her parents or her siblings. Let her learn to do some things for herself. So get a job, live alone in an apartment, furnish your own place, take care of your own house, take care of your budget. Let her just learn that maturity. That is social maturity, because she will need it. It will become handy for her when she marries. And let her learn to manage her relationships, her friends, and let her have a ministry in the church. That church is another thing that could help people, experience maturity. So let her join a church, let her join a club or a home group, let her become a home group leader, or let her take responsibility for some people, maybe at work or at a social club, or let her do something for the community. Let her lead an organization, civil society, NGO, a church life, home groups, and home fellowship. Let her do something. Let her participate in some social life in a community or in the church or somewhere. So all these things help a lady to actually experience what real maturity in life is. And that's social maturity. So these things help her to come to be comfortable with herself. The purpose of social maturity is to help a lady feel as if she's a fish in the river, to feel herself like fish in the river at any time, to feel like she's welcome everywhere. She's comfortable with herself, no matter where she finds herself. She's comfortable with herself. And she's not feeling embarrassed. She knows exactly what she needs to do, how to make a living. So if she's living in Europe, let her learn driving at that time. Let her learn to drive. Let her learn to drive. Let her learn to go to the gym. Let her learn to do sports if she wants. Let her learn to, to do exercises, to do some, social events. Let her learn to drive. If she wants, she could go to the gym or swimming or things like that. So those are the things that will help her later on in life. And so it will make her to be satisfied with herself. So social security makes a lady feels comfortable everywhere. They make her to feel welcome. She knows how to make herself feel welcome everywhere, and she knows how to it will help her to also make other people feel welcome around her as well. The next thing that social maturity gives a lady is the sense that she will not need other people to do things for her before she could survive. This will give social maturity gives a lady the ability to survive by herself, not needing a man, not needing a father, mother, relatives, or brothers to be around her every time, or to be guiding her or doing things for her. She knows how to get real life things dealt with and met, the needs met by herself. Even though when she marries, the man will be taking care of a lot of those things. But you know what? What about if she doesn't marry? She still has to survive. So she needs to learn to be comfortable with herself, and she still has to be able to live her own life without thinking that, oh, I cannot live now because I don't have a husband, because I don't have a boyfriend, I cannot live, I cannot survive. No, a girl must have the skills to survive socially without having need to run to have a boyfriend or a man or to marry. But she's able to make a living. She's She's able to be comfortable with herself and be happy all by herself on one hand. On the other hand, she's able to live and to survive and to make a living for herself and survive without needing any help or any effort. I mean, any support from some side domain that will be taking advantage of her or something like that. So that is number two advantage another advantage that a lady will have who is socially matured. Now, there's also some other advantages that a lady will have through social maturity. Social maturity will make a lady to be comfortable with herself, to have harmony. She's having harmony within herself, and she's having harmony with her surrounding. She's having harmony with her surrounding. So if she's able to build a good social life around herself, church, sports, social interaction with friends, professional life, and she's able to put everything in order. She has her harmony. So she's living in that harmony without conflict and without, looking out for. She's able to build her own life, her own routine of life that she's following, and she's realizing her gift. She's maximizing her potential all by herself. She's happy. She's serving God. She's fulfilling her gifts, her callings. She's able to provide for herself. She's working. She's supporting herself. She's saving money. She's able to take care of her own needs. And, so that kind of girl cannot be manipulated. That kind of girl cannot be deceived. That kind of girl is going to be happy by herself before any kind of marriage relationship or so. And that kind of girl knows that she's already happy, and if marriage comes, okay. If marriage doesn't come, she's also okay. She's able to live. She's not, living a life of regret or living a life of pain or just looking out the window every day. Is the man coming tomorrow? Is the man come? She's not waiting for any man to be happy. She's already happy all by herself. She's already happy all by herself. Well, okay, let me see if I have time to talk about spiritual maturity. Let me also mention something about spiritual maturity here. Now, spiritual maturity is also connected a little bit with what I've already said. But what is spiritual maturity? Spiritual maturity is the ability to be able to find personal relationship with God and to be able to build a relationship with God in such a way that you know God for yourself. It's not just being involved in a church. That is more social. Being involved in a church is more social maturity it could give you. But spiritual maturity is the ability to build relationship with God on a personal level, to have your own personal relationship with God. It doesn't matter if you go to church or you don't go to church. It's not about what church you go to, how many times you go to church. So spiritual maturity is the ability to depend on God by yourself, not measuring your spiritual life by how many times you go to church or by what program is in the church or not program in the church. Spiritual maturity is the ability to be dependent on God, on your personal walk with God, on your personal relationship with God. That is not having anything to do with church or with people, or it's about your own personal responsibility with God. If a lady will be taught to have personal relationship with God, to love God for who God is, not because she wants to get married and she's going for miracles, or she wants to give birth to children or want to get a husband. No, but just to depend on God alone, to have love for God, to have that relationship with God, and just to be personal relationship with God. There is nothing like it. If a girl will have the personal relationship with God, everything will flow from that. That is where our joy will come from. That is where, and when you have personal relationship with God, then you know that your joy does not depend on what is happening around you. Everything comes from inside of you. So that because there are a lot of people today who go to church and they don't differentiate between going to church and spiritual maturity. People don't even know what it means to have personal relationship with God. But spiritual maturity is about having personal relationship with God. It's measuring your spiritual life by your personal walk with Him. So, and one of the things that is really important to attain that kind of personal relationship with God and personal walk with God is to practice solitude as much as you can. Have solitude or quiet time with God on a daily basis. Read the Word of God, read literatures, listen to messages, grow, mature yourself. That is how much, actually, your spiritual maturity depends on how much you are able to walk with God closely without any external help. So spiritual maturity is going to be determined by how much depth of a relationship you have with God without any external help. By external help, I mean how much depth can you build with God? How closely can you walk with God if you don't even go to church, without any help coming from church, without you even attending any church, without you even going to any program? Just you to set your own program and your own schedule, your own timetable, your own discipline, to be able to have your own personal discipline with God and be able to walk with God. What I will advise people to do normally is that if you really want to attain spiritual maturity, discipline yourself to give 10% of your day to God. So 10% of the day will mean 2 hours, 40 minutes. Let's say 2 hours. What does that mean? Maybe you pray 1 hour and you spend another 1 hour to study the Bible or to listen to the Word of God or messages or inspirational thing. Something that will just help you to build your own relationship with God, that will help you to build strength in your spirit. So feed your inner man. So at least 2 hours or 2 hours, 40 minutes with God. Even what you are doing right now, it could be one of the ways you are building your own strength, your own relationship with God. So you listen to a message in the morning, maybe 1 hour, or in the evening 1 hour. So that's 2 hours. Then 40 minutes alone with God. That's 2 hours, 40 minutes right there. So that way you're having 10% of your day you are devoting to God. That is excellent. Then in a week, you might also want to say, okay, you want to give another 10% to God in a week. So what does that mean? You want to find a day whereby you will maybe study a book or read a book, or maybe not a whole day. Maybe on Sunday you want to do something to strengthen your own personal walk with God. Not just going to church because sometimes people go to church and just go to church, and in the process we lose our personal relationship with God. All those programs. But if you are going to be building your personal, your Christian life or your spiritual life on programs, on church programs, a lot of people who are going to church and involved in church programs, they don't have personal relationship with God again. No. They have lost their personal relationship with God, I tell you. Everybody's just going to church, going to program. So the only time they pray is the corporate prayers in church. Then the only thing they are doing now is if you are not careful, everything you are doing in church is just to make somebody happy, to make the pastors happy, to make the leaders happy. It's now a show program. It's like you show you come to let people know that you are around, or you show up today, or you are in church, or you don't miss church, or you are a good member. So it's a lot of that has become eye service. It has become a religious eye service kind of thing, whereby you are not really serving God again. It is now a show thing. You are now showing how good a Christian you are, so that you want them to think that you are good, so that you are now doing things for other people to see. So you have to set yourself free from that. You have to just kind of reduce all those show things, to all the things that you do to make people happy, all the things that you do to make people see you and clap for you. The Bible says that whatever your left hand is doing, your right hand shouldn't know. So you should build a kind of relationship with God whereby, your right hand doesn't know what your left is doing, and your left hand doesn't know what your right hand is doing. A kind of relationship whereby, nobody is taking your your registry. Nobody is marking your name and say, okay, she came today or she didn't come today, or she did. Why did you come today? Why did you come yesterday? Why were you not in the meeting? So that your personal walk with God should all be between you and Him. So you should just leave other people. Even if you go to church and minister in church, it shouldn't be because you want people to applaud you or because you want anybody to mark you out or to give you any recognition. It should just be because of you want to do it, because you want to help other people or you want to serve other people. And actually, as a matter of fact, most of your service, your religious service to God, should be something you do so that there shouldn't be things that you do in church. If you really want to serve God and you want to show Him that you love Him, do it the way Jesus said you should do it. How did Jesus say we should do it? He said, I was naked, you clothed me. I was hungry, you fed me. I was in prison, you visited me. I was in the hospital, you came to me. So those are the kind of things. Do things to people that will never be able to say thank you to you. Do the kind of religious services or Christian services in a way that nobody will be able to recognize you. If you want to give your money or you give your tithe and offering, you want to give, spend your money, spend it in such a way that nobody will see your name and, give you some recognition for what you do or what you didn't do. Do things in a way that is seen between you and God. So that is talking about spiritual maturity. So spiritual maturity is when you learn to walk before God, when you know that it's only God that is seeing you. The God that is seeing in secret is seeing you and your need. When you are not going to God because you need any miracle from Him, because Jesus is saying that life is more important than what to eat or what to wear. And He said that when you come to God, don't be like the Gentiles who will come asking for this and that, because they're coming to God because they need something. So don't be like that. Come to God because you need Him. Come to God because He's your life. Come to God because you love Him. Build your own relationship with God on the basis of the fact that He saved you, He died for you, He gave His own life for you. And so you want to just show Him your appreciation, your gratitude. You want to show Him how much you love Him. You want to do everything to demonstrate your gratitude and appreciation to Him for everything He's done for you, for giving His life for you, and for blessing you, and but not because you need something from God today, or you need something from God tomorrow, or you need Him to give you that, you need Him to give you that. No, that your relationship shouldn't be built on those things. It should be built on just pure love. And if you have anything in the process, of course, God will do it for you. You ask Him, He will do it for you. But that should not be the thing that are driving you to God. But sometimes church could make you to think that the only thing that is driving you to God is because you need some miracle, or you need some, wonders, or because you need some blessings or that. So that shouldn't be the things that are driving you to God. You shouldn't be building relationship with God because you need something from Him. You shouldn't be coming to God because you want Him to give you something. Don't be looking for the hand of God. Look for His face. Look for God because you need to know Him. Look for God because you want to be like Him. Look for God because you want to know His ways and His truth, His principles, and because you want to be like Him, because you want to carry His image and His likeness. That should be the reason why you want to build a relationship with God. That is real spiritual maturity. It's not how much song you sing and how much you can dance and jump in church. No. It's about what intimacy you have been able to establish with God. That kind of lady, a woman, she's the one that is ready to be a blessing to a man. in any marriage union or marriage relationship. So, well, my time is up today, and I hope you are blessed. If you have not shared the link to this message, let's quickly go and share the link. Let's go and share the link to this message, please. Let's go and share the link to this message, and yeah, let's quickly go and share the link to this message. You see the share button under the video. Let's go and press the share button, and so that other people will be blessed by this message. Maybe you need to write something, write your comments, write your impression, what you think this would do to people who will watch it, and let it be a blessing to somebody else. Let it be a blessing to somebody else. So I hope you are blessed, and you let me read some of your comments. What are you writing? Was anybody blessed by any of this at all? Let me see. Anastasia said, we have a saying in Ghana that suggests that if you didn't go to a boarding school and only went to a day school, it means you didn't go to any at all. Wow. Edward Boahen says, man of God, I really love your ministry. More grace, God's general. Thank you. Toyin Bidemi says, wow, simple but very deep. You are full of wisdom. Thank you. Paul David says, living alone is important. So when you get married, you have mastered being a CEO of your home with one or more population. Apostle Timothy says, Pastor, good evening. This social maturity is very important, but religious beliefs teach that such things are carnality. Oh, okay. Carnality, all right. Apostle Timothy says, Pastor, you keep on saying, let her learn to do this and that. Some ladies are not teachable. How do you deal with such indifferent ladies? Well, that's why I'm teaching this. I'm not saying you should go and teach her. That's why I'm teaching this, so that the ladies themselves will hear this and they would know what to do. They would know what to do. Don't try to teach her. Let her teach herself. What ladies don't like is for you trying to teach her, because they didn't want a schoolmaster. They want to teach themselves. Tim says, to be social is a sign of maturity. This is wonderful to hear in Africa. Thank you, sir, for the eye-opener. Charlene, my son, a very good advice. I asked God specifically how to be sociable, and he answered me. What a great God we serve. Thank you. Wow. Fumi Jeboda, spiritual maturity, love God for who God is, and be dependent on him alone. Yeah. Karen says, amen. Karen Esmond, amen. Spiritual maturity is personal relationship, intimacy with God, right? Tim says, spiritual maturity is to build relationship with God on personal level. You are relying and depending only on God, right? Bidemi said, from your teachings tonight, you have mentioned the qualities that a lady should have before getting married. I honor you, sir. Uh, Natasha Richards, 10% never thought of that. It's our sincere heart that is looking at not stuff, right? Nke Iruka, religious eye service. You are right, Pastor. Sylvia is saying it's important to go to church service, but don't allow it to stop in church only. Have a personal relationship with God in your heart. Christianity is not all about going to church, but it's something that comes from the heart, right? Tim says, learn to walk before God secretly, not because you want something from God, but as a reflection of his love towards you, right? Anastasia, thank you so much, Pastor, for re-emphasizing spiritual maturity. My heart is singing. Oluwatoyin says, you should not go to God because you need something. You should go to him because you need him, right? Tim says, be a face seeker, seeking the face of God, not a hand seeker, seeking his hand. Ifeoma says, I'm so blessed, sir. Thank you so much. Eric Osadolo said, religion is a killer. Please run away from religious practices apart from personal relationship with God, and show people God's love. Pearl David says, Pastor, I'm blessed. We have to be well-rounded physically, emotionally, financially, and spiritually before joining hands with another. To do so prematurely is to handicap the marriage before it even begins. Abel Rita said, that's true talk. I enjoy your message, really. Our God is a great God. Omonika said, thank you so much. I'm so blessed, sir. God bless you, Pastor Sunday Adelaja. More grace in Jesus' name. Benny Gift said, thank you, Pastor, for blessing me this evening. Ever since I started listening to you, my life has been transformed. Thank you once again for your love and sacrifice. God bless you and your ministry. Joseph Oyewale, sitting under this teaching daily makes us master of life. There are so many things that we neglect that are so important to life, but on this platform, Dr. Adelaja, you are bringing this present truth to us, empowering us to live life on divine principles. Thanks so much. Sandra, thank you very much, sir, for this great teaching tonight. I'm so blessed again. Nke Iruka, Pastor, thank you, sir. I'm highly blessed with your message. Blessings, sir. Thank you.